Some mornings, you stand in the kitchen waiting for the kettle to boil, and you notice that your fingers are slow to close around the handle when it is ready. The movement that used to be nothing now takes a moment of intention. That small stiffness in the joints of your hands before the body warms up. The brief negotiation your lower back makes with the first steps of the day. These are not simply the arithmetic of years. They are the body asking for something it has not yet been given. If you want to understand why inflammation keeps returning, no matter what you try, you may have been looking in the wrong direction. Not toward the supplement aisle with its large print promises. Not toward the brief appointment where the answer arrives in a prescription slip. The answer has been sitting on breakfast tables in the mountain villages north of Kyoto for more than 1,000 years, and it costs almost nothing. My friend, I am glad you found your way here this morning. What I am about to share may matter not only to you, but to someone who depends on you staying capable and present in their life. If you are hoping to lift a grandchild without the hesitation that comes from pain, that small reaching up and gathering is exactly what is at stake here. Most physicians are good people working inside 9-minute appointments. What we discuss today does not appear in any standard prescribing guidelines because it does not come in a form any company can patent or sell. It is older than the guidelines by many centuries. My name is Takeshi Okamura. For more than 60 years, I have practiced the traditional mountain healing of Kurama, a village north of Kyoto, where my family has tended to the health of this region across many generations. The knowledge I carry was given to me by my grandfather, who received it from his grandfather before him, a lineage of healers who watched the body across long seasons and long lives. My grandfather held one teaching above all others. He would place his hand gently over his own belly and say, in a voice meant to be remembered, that the hara is where all health begins or ends. In the tradition of Japanese healing, the gut, the center of the body, is where immunity takes its instruction, where inflammation either rises or settles, where sleep is shaped before night arrives, where the energy of each day is gathered or lost. Modern researchers now spend careers confirming what that teaching pointed to. I find this both interesting and unsurprising. My mother prepared this food every morning before any other thing entered the kitchen. Her mother before her did the same. The farmers and woodcutters and elder women who tended the temple gardens of Kurama kept this food in their mornings without interruption across every season of their long lives. I have watched 5 generations of people in this region live past 80 and into their 90s with joints that still bent willingly, with minds that held names and detail, with bodies that carried them up stone steps to light the morning incense. The researchers who eventually came to our region looking for reasons found what we had been looking at all along. One part of what I am going to share today will surprise you. 9 out of 10 of the people I have worked with over 60 years had never encountered this morning practice, not in this form, and the order matters. Each piece we discuss builds on the one before it, in a sequence that changes what the body is able to receive. Please watch to the end, my friend, because the final element is the one I held for last and is the one that makes everything beneath it possible. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below, telling me your age and what has been troubling your mornings, whether it is the stiffness that takes time to leave, the fatigue that arrives before noon, or simply the feeling that the body is not keeping pace the way it once did. I read every single comment on this channel, and what you share shapes what I create for you next. In this video, I am going to show you the morning food that the elder healers of Kurama have trusted for more than 1,000 years to address the internal burning that ages the joints and the blood. I will show you the precise morning sequence that determines whether what you eat actually reaches the places in your body that most need it. I will show you which 2 fermented additions deepen the morning ritual without adding complexity. And the final element, the one I have been leading toward, a specific biological process This food supports that most people past 60 do not know is still available to them. A small favor, dear friend, before we go further. If you have not yet subscribed, I ask that you do so now. It takes 2 seconds. Many people who watch these videos regularly have told me they were not actually subscribed. When you subscribe, these teachings reach more people who are looking for them. That is the only reason I ask. Now, let us begin where the problem begins. Most people over 60 start their morning in a way that quietly works against the body they are hoping to protect. Coffee is consumed before the gut has been given water. Breakfast is skipped, or something starchy and sweet is eaten without thought. The phone is checked before the body has had a chance to settle into waking. After 60, this matters more than it did at 40. The gut lining has thinned. The morning window, those first 20 to 30 minutes, carries an outsized influence on how the body manages inflammation for the hours that follow. What you place in the gut first, and when, shapes the entire day. The food I am speaking of is natto. My friend, if you have never heard this word, or if you have heard it and moved past it, I want you to stay close for a moment. Natto is fermented soybeans, eaten in Japan for more than 1,000 years, most consistently in the mountain and rural regions, and it is among the most quietly remarkable morning foods that exist for a body past 60. You can find it in small styrofoam trays in the refrigerated section of most Asian grocery stores. The sticky amber threads visible through the wrapper. When you lift a spoon from the bowl, those threads catch the light. There is something in that texture that reminds the body it is receiving something alive. The compound at the center of natto's effect on inflammation is called nattokinase. It is an enzyme produced during fermentation by Bacillus subtilis, which the old healers called the mountain spirit of the soybean. What nattokinase does in the body is something almost no other food can match. It dissolves a protein called fibrin which accumulates in the blood and tissues as the body ages. Fibrin serves a purpose in small amounts. It is part of how the body clots and heals itself after injury. But in older bodies, fibrin tends to accumulate beyond what is necessary. Thickening the flow of blood the way sediment thickens an old river channel, slowing delivery to every tissue downstream. Nattokinase acts as the current that clears the channel. Better circulation means the inflamed tissues in your joints, your brain, and your gut receive the oxygen and nutrients they need to begin repairing. A word of care. If you take any blood thinning medication or have been told to manage your vitamin K intake, please discuss natto with your physician before you begin. Nattokinase affects fibrin and circulation in meaningful ways, and your doctor should be part of that conversation from the start. A woman named Gloria came to see me. She was 71 years old, a retired schoolteacher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and she told me that the aching in her knuckles had become consistent enough that she had set aside the embroidery she had practiced every evening for 40 years. What had been overlooked by the 2 physicians she had visited was that her morning habits were sustaining a low-grade inflammatory state in her gut that was expressing itself in her hands. I asked her to make one change before anything else. 2 tablespoons of natto each morning, prepared simply within the first 20 minutes of waking. By week 10, the aching in her knuckles had reduced by roughly 60%, measured by her own daily pain record. She told me, "Master, take it. I did not expect the food to give me my evenings back." She picked up the embroidery again. The sequence of the ritual shapes what the body can do with what it is given. Begin before anything else with warm water. Warm, the temperature of a comfortable bath, around 200 milliliters. This gently activates the digestive tract and rinses the gut lining that has been resting through the night. The elder healers of our village began every single morning this way, and those I knew lived into their 90s with minds that remained precise and present. 5 minutes after the water, prepare and eat your natto. 2 to 3 tablespoons is the right amount for a morning serving. In Japan, natto is commonly prepared with a small amount of soy sauce and a touch of prepared mustard, and that preparation is entirely appropriate. What matters is that you eat it at room temperature or only slightly warmed. High heat significantly reduces the activity of the natto kinase enzyme. The fermentation is living. It asks to be treated with care. 15 minutes after eating, move. A slow walk through the house. A few minutes of gentle stretching. Enough to begin circulating the blood that now carries what the natto has released. Light movement at this specific interval amplifies what the food is able to do. Now I want to say something here about what makes the full effect of this morning practice possible, because it connects directly to the gut itself. After roughly 60 years of age, the number of beneficial bacteria living in the gut drops significantly, and the diversity of those bacteria narrows. Some estimates suggest a body in its 60s or 70s carries 30 to 50% fewer varied gut bacteria than it carried at 30. And this is what many people do not understand about rebuilding that community. Probiotics alone, even very good ones, often cannot establish themselves without two other elements working alongside them. Prebiotic fiber, which feeds the bacteria and creates the conditions for them to take hold, and postbiotics, which are the actual compounds that bacteria produce once they are thriving, the substances that reduce inflammation, repair the gut lining, and regulate immune response. Think of it this way. Probiotics are the seeds. Prebiotic fiber is the soil. Postbiotics are the fruit the garden produces. You cannot grow a garden by placing seeds on bare stone. All three must be present together for the body to receive what it is being offered. I want to pause here because many people who write to me ask what I personally use to support the gut foundation we have just described. I will tell you plainly. What I recommend is called BoochBod, a kombucha gummy in berry bliss flavor, built on a 3-part formula of prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, including 2 clinically studied strains called lactospore and postbiotics LM1004. It also contains dandelion root, which the elder healers of our mountain region have prepared for generations to support gentle digestive cleansing. Over 30,000 people use it daily. It is a gummy, not a pill, and for many people past 60, that matters considerably. The link is in the description below, and please speak to your doctor before starting any supplement. And now we arrive at the piece I held for last. Everything we have discussed, the nattokinase clearing, accumulated fibrin, the morning sequence, the warm water and the timing, it all leads here. The body's capacity to repair its own cells, and natto provides the most direct support for that capacity that I have found in more than 60 years of working alongside the human body. My grandfather spoke of a quality he observed in the people who aged with strength. He called it nai netsu, the inner warmth. He was describing something he could feel in the hands and see in the posture of his patients across 50 years of watching them. The researchers have now measured what he was describing. They call it mitochondrial vitality. By the time a person reaches their late 60s or early 70s, mitochondrial function in muscle tissue may have declined by 40% or more. The mitochondria are the small structures inside every cell that produce the energy the cell uses to repair itself and carry out its work. It is this decline, as much as the years themselves, that drives so much of what we recognize as aging. The fatigue that arrives before noon, the joints that recover more slowly after use, the immune response that has grown slower to protect and slower to calm. The laboratories are confirming across careful studies what the old healers observed through patient decades of watching, with the same quiet recognition the old monks wore when a student finally understood something they had been pointing to all along. Natto contains PQQ, pyrroloquinoline quinone, in meaningful concentration. PQQ supports what researchers call mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria inside existing cells. In plain language, the cell rebuilds the engine it runs on, and the isoflavones in natto, genistein in particular, support a reduction in the inflammatory signaling that accelerates this decline. Two gifts within one small bowl. Two morning habits deepen what natto begins. A small spoonful of fermented miso stirred into warm broth, simply dissolved, adds its own community of beneficial microorganisms that support the gut lining. 1 teaspoon each morning is sufficient. And green tea taken 30 minutes after eating carries catechins that support the reduction of inflammatory markers in circulation, alongside L-theanine, which encourages a calm and focused alertness. The elder people of our village always said that green tea teaches the body to be still. A morning that begins with natto, continues with miso broth, and closes with green tea is the morning the body was designed to receive. A man named Arthur came to see me. He was 78 years old, a retired pharmacist from Hot Springs, Arkansas, a man who understood medication well, and who came to me because decades of that understanding had not addressed the fatigue and joint stiffness that had made his mornings slow and uncomfortable, taking up to 40 minutes before he felt capable of the day. What had been overlooked was that his cellular energy production had declined significantly, and his daily habits included none of the fermented foods that support repair. I asked him to follow this morning ritual faithfully for 90 days. At the end of that time, his morning preparation had shortened to 15 minutes. The discomfort in his hands and knees had improved by roughly 50% by his own careful account. The weight in his hands felt different in the morning, he told me. Lighter. His energy in the afternoons, which had been failing entirely by 2 o'clock, extended reliably toward 5. He told me, Master Takeshi, something in me decided to try again. For this benefit to reach you, the practice must be consistent. Natto kinase and PQQ do not change the body in a single serving. The effect accumulates across weeks of daily presence. The body rewards the people who arrive every morning. After more than 60 years of watching what actually works in older bodies, let me share 3 principles that rarely appear in any written guide. Tip 1. Timing carries more weight than quantity. 2 tablespoons of natto in the first 20 minutes of waking accomplishes more than 4 tablespoons eaten at noon. The morning window in the gut, when cortisol is rising and the digestive tract is most receptive, closes as the day progresses. Use it while it is open. Tip 2. The whole fermented food outperforms the isolated extract. A natto kinase capsule does not deliver the same layered benefit as the whole food because the food carries the enzyme alongside PQQ, isoflavones, and the live bacterial culture together. The body recognizes the whole in a way it does not recognize a single extracted fraction. Tip 3. Consistency is the entire practice. The body cannot reward the ones who remember twice a week. It rewards the ones who show up every morning, quietly, without drama, the way the mountain does not move by one step, but yields to the person who keeps walking. 3 mistakes I see when people begin this practice. Mistake 1. They microwave the natto to warm it. High heat, above roughly 50 degrees Celsius, significantly reduces the activity of the natto kinase enzyme. Room temperature, or the warmth of miso broth placed alongside it, is entirely sufficient. Mistake 2. They try it 2 or 3 times, decide they do not prefer the texture or the smell, and set it aside. Natto is unfamiliar to most Western palates. In Japan, children are introduced to it early, and it becomes as ordinary as bread. If you are beginning as an adult, allow 2 full weeks before you decide. The body's response to an unfamiliar fermented food often shifts considerably once it begins to recognize what it is receiving. Mistake 3. They practice inconsistently. A few days, then a pause, then a few more days. The changes in circulation and cellular energy that daily natto supports require consistent intake across 6 to 12 weeks. The body simply rebuilds slowly, the way it has always rebuilt, in response to something given faithfully over time. My friend, let me say plainly what you are truly protecting here. You are protecting the morning when you can still open your own kitchen drawer without assistance and begin making the tea yourself. You are protecting the ability to sit across the table from the grandchild who reaches for your hand, knowing you are present and capable and fully there in that moment. These are not ideas, they are specific moments of a life still lived on your own terms. It is never too late. I have watched people at 75, at 80, experience meaningful improvements in mobility, in energy, and in the quiet confidence that comes from a body that is responding. The body does not forget how to repair. It waits for the right conditions, and then it does the work it was built to do. You are offering it those conditions right now by being here. Let me lock this in for you. Part 1. The standard morning routine for most people past 60 works against the gut's most receptive window. And after 60, that window shapes how the body handles inflammation for the entire day that follows. Part 2. Natto provides natto kinase to dissolve accumulated fibrin in circulation and PQQ to support the creation and repair of mitochondria inside aging cells. Part 3. The morning sequence: warm water first, then natto within 20 minutes of waking, then gentle movement 15 minutes after, determines how fully the body receives what the food delivers. Part 4. Consistent daily practice over 6 to 12 weeks, combined with the complete 3-part gut foundation of prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics, creates the conditions in which the cellular repair this food supports can actually occur. If what we discussed today reached something true in you, I ask one thing. Subscribe to this channel if you have not yet done so these teachings continue to find you. And please share this video with someone in your life, perhaps a spouse or an older sibling or the oldest friend you have, someone whose mornings have been difficult and who has not yet found something that helps. Leave a comment below telling me which part of this practice you are beginning first, or which piece surprised you most. I read every single comment on this channel, and I look forward to what you share. The BoochBod link I mentioned is in the description below. Whenever you are ready, until we meet again, dear friend, tend yourself gently. The body you care for today is the one that carries you toward every morning still ahead.